सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। Namaskar everybody. Today is Saptami Tithi, that is the 7th day of the descending phase of the lunar cycle. I would like to remind you that Shivaratri is coming soon, so it will be at the end of this descending phase. Saptami, Ashtami, Navami, Dasami, Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Trayadashi, and one day before the no moon day, Onshi, it will be Shivaratri. So, just a reminder. So today, let's talk about the power of surrendering. What is surrendering? Why it is important? Okay. So, in our culture, surrendering is discussed in our scriptures in a very loose way. So they only tell you that, surrendering is done to the God or to a guru. Okay, but that is a limited understanding. Surrendering is indeed a very, very powerful process, and it can be very helpful in self-realization. Many people, most of the successful people, or I would say not successful in terms of material world, successful in terms of happiness, to be a good human being, people, I would call them great people. Those great people attain their greatness by surrendering. Some of the best artists are born by the power of surrendering. A great human being is born by the power of surrendering. So what it is? So let's understand this first. So to understand this, you need to understand the distinction between your mind and your inner self. Okay? Without understanding this, it will be difficult to understand surrendering, and you won't be able to do it. So you must have this knowledge first if you want to practice surrendering. Okay? So when we talk about surrendering, so there are two things involved: the mind and the self. Okay? So let's say these are two opposing forces. Mind wants to rule the entire world. That is the nature of the mind. It likes to grow, it likes to expand, or no, that is not a good word, I think, for mind, because the nature of mind is that it wants to enjoy material pleasure, and it wants to be powerful, and it wants to control other people. So that is the nature of mind. What is a mind? It is a bunch of thoughts, a bunch of unconscious thoughts which come in your mind automatically. You don't have control over the thoughts that appear in your mind, because the world, the universe, the physical world is constantly throwing thoughts in your mind. So you cannot control, okay? You only have control to remain unaffected, to ignore those thoughts and remain as you are. That is the only control you have. So the mind wants to rule the whole world. When it gets one success, it wants one more success. When it eats one good food, it wants to eat another good food. When it enjoys some kind of physical pleasures, it wants more of that. And there is no end to it. It will never be satisfied. That is the nature of your mind. If the self doesn't control the mind will go on forever like that. And what is the end? Death. Only until its death, only at its death it stops. Otherwise, there is no end. Even after death, actually, I shouldn't say that. Even after the physical death, the mind wanders, it continues its journey to acquire more, to get more of those powers and material pleasures. That is the nature of mind. And if you have controlled your mind in some way, then you are doing that through the help of your self. Okay? Only the self has the power to control it. Okay? So when we talk about surrendering, it essentially means that your mind must surrender to the higher power, which is the self. Your mind must put or recognize the truth that self is your source and self is above you. Only if you realize surrendering, real surrendering can happen. Otherwise, until you recognize that power within you, surrendering can never happen. You can find a guru and you can surrender in front of your guru. That will be helpful in some way, but still that is not complete. Until you surrender, until your mind surrenders to yourself, the process is not complete. So surrendering can happen naturally also, because as I told you, the mind wants to go on forever and ever, but life will teach you lessons in different times. It will give you an injury, it will give you a disease, let's say, and it will give you some failures, and in those times you are bound to surrender, or at least you are given the opportunity to realize and surrender. So in such circumstances, if you look within and take time to realize that nothing is in my control, there is a higher power which is ruling the happenings in my mind and in the physical world. If you realize that, then surrendering can happen. You must have this knowledge before surrendering. You must have this knowledge that everything in this physical existence is happening by itself. It has a certain cycle. It is a cyclical process. You think you can control your life or things around you. That is just your ignorance. That it only appears so. You came into this existence. You were born. It was a total chance, right? Did you come to this world by your choice? You came here. It is a random event. And how can you say that you have control over things in your life? That is your ignorance for sure. You didn't come into this existence by your choice. You happened here following the laws of the physical world. Your body is here, and there is something, you as consciousness, you got identified with this limited physical body. That is the only difference. So you must be able to see the difference between you as consciousness, your physical body, which is going to perish one day, and your mind, which is just a bunch of thoughts. So if you realize this, you have no choice other than surrendering, because there is absolutely, you cannot control your life in any way. Everything is a destiny. Everything is already destined by your karma. You seem to have some control over your life when you see a very narrow picture. When you see the bigger picture of your life, your opinion doesn't matter. Your speculation doesn't matter. Okay? Because even your speculation, even your opinion, they are just thoughts in your mind which are coming through some external forces. Okay? But don't misunderstand what I am saying. It doesn't mean that you have no control in your life. You can control the way you react to your thoughts. When certain thoughts come in your mind, you have a 100% choice to decide how to react in that way, react to that thought. In any given situation in your life, you have the ability or the choice to react or respond whatever way you like. You have the choice to remain unaffected by those thoughts in your mind. So understand this distinction. Okay? Once you are able to identify your thoughts, and then you will be able to surrender. So surrendering means just leaving your mind alone. Don't make your mind more powerful. Just leave it alone, and the surrendering can happen. Once surrendering happens, you become blissful, more powerful, more energetic, because you come in sync with the life process. You come in sync with the present moment. The mind cannot remain, as long as there are thoughts, the mind cannot remain or hold on to the present moment. The mind must go. Only the self can remain at the present moment. And when you are at the present moment, you are already surrendered. You are already part of the truth. So understand this and try to practice surrendering. It will make a huge difference in your life. Surrendering is essential if you want to access your inner power. Hare Krishna. This much